See, if you were crippled, they wouldn't have moved you over there.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go ahead and reconvene the meeting, and we worked our way through the entire agenda for today, so I just want to issue a call to the public, and we do have one blue sheet, Tex Adams, representing the Wyoming Federation of Houndsmen. Tex, go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner Culver, Director Talbot, Commission. I'm here today as a representative of the houndsmen of this state. We have been trying for the last several years to get the commission and the department to implement a pursuit or training season for mountain lions. I'm here today again to try to get this on the agenda for this year. What we're wanting is for this to be start off as a resident only, at least for the first few years until we can work the bugs out. But once a harvest limit in an area has been met, the season would stay open for pursuit purposes only, and it would only stay open until the scheduled end of season. 25 years ago, hound hunting, mountain lion hunting in Wyoming was just almost non-existent. There were a few people, but not many. In that 25 years, though, the sport of hound hunting has grown all over the nation. And in the last probably 8 to 10 years, it's really grown in this state. And we are behind the times when we look at some of our surrounding states as far as opportunities, regulations, and some of the management practices that we implement. The houndsmen of this state are the ones that are ultimately responsible for the management of the big predators, or mountain lions specifically. The boot hunters just don't take enough. The incidental, you know, if somebody's out there deer hunting, they just don't take enough. And it comes down to the houndsmen of this state. It costs a lot to maintain a pack of dogs. It costs a lot to feed. I would venture to say that houndsmen are probably spend more time per year on their sport than any other sportsman. And we would just like to be able to fully utilize these seasons. And in the future, if it is deemed necessary that some management practices need to be implemented or changed, such as a female sub-quota, then we would still be able to go after those better management practices, yet we wouldn't lose any time in the woods. There are some hunt areas around the state that do remain open, that haven't closed in the last several years, but according to game and fish biologists, even they say that we need to be looking into that, you know, as far as changing either harvest limits or the female sub-quota or something, because they've even said, you know, it's essentially an open management plan. We are talking about a trophy game animal here. It's not a predator, it's a trophy game animal. I don't think we would manage mule deer or elk like this. And we just want to see not a boom in the population, but just a healthy population. We just want to see them managed so that there are some trophy class animals out there. And we feel that a pursuit season, it would benefit the houndsmen, but it would also allow us the opportunity to where we could go after better management practices. And in 3 years or 5 years, whenever the regs will come up again next year, and then they'd come up again in 2022, I believe. And probably at that time, you know, we'd like to see a pursuit season opened up to non-residents as well. Of course, there will be some hunt areas that are more popular, and we don't want to recreate the hunter congestion problem that we just got fixed up in Area 1. So we might have to look into doing like Idaho does with the draw on some units. And we're also looking into going through the legislature to get a new license type. specifically for hound hunting that would be a pursuit only. That way, for people that don't want to harvest a cat but just run their dogs and take pictures or what have you, they can get a pursuit only tag. And we would be in favor of requiring everybody actively involved in a lion hunt or in a hound pursuit to have one of these tags, just like people have to do when they're fishing. Even if they're catching and releasing, they have to have a fishing license. So I would ask the commission to please consider putting a resident pursuit season on the agenda for this year. I'll answer any questions if you have any.
Mr. President,
Yeah.
when you say a pursuit season, so you're gonna chase cats, tree
Yes, sir.
them,
Yes, sir.
and then let them go
Yes, sir.
with no limit on how many times you can do that to the cats in your area?
I believe that there is a limit. Director Talbot, is there a rule on that now? Because people pursue cats now. Most of the time, if there's not that many cats harvested compared to cats treed. Most houndsmen don't want to kill all the cats. You know, we like just taking their pictures. It's more about hunting with the dogs than it is the actual kill.
But Ms. Tex, I think that, I mean, you pursue a cat, you tree it, say it's a female or too small or something like that. I understand that houndsmen let some mountain lions go.
Yes, sir.
But you're talking about just chasing mountain lions at your will and treeing them and then letting them go.
That already happens all season long.
You're kidding me.
No, sir.
So no one has a mountain lion license and the quota's closed and people are out there.
No, once the harvest limit is reached in a given area, like on Area 1 right now, that area is closed to any type of mountain lion pursuit. There were a total of 24 cats harvested in Hunt Area 1 this year. That's the harvest limit for Hunt Area 1. But people go out there just to chase, tree, and free the cat.
Before the limit is closed or after the limit is closed?
Before the limit is closed.
Hmm.
It's very much like catch and release on fishing.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
I can't go there, Tex. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you where I sit on this. I don't think it's proper to chase cats like that, tree them and let them go. And if that's going on either before or after the quota is closed, I would be in favor of outlawing that and writing some people some tickets. I mean, I understand the need to chase mountain lions. I need to understand to have balanced wildlife management, but I don't understand why someone would go chase a cat for miles, tree it, horribly stress it out, and then just let it go just for the heck of it to train your dogs. I mean,
Well,
I can't go there, Tex. I'm just telling you.
It's not just to train the dogs, but if I go out today and I tree a cat, I take its picture, I've had a fun time with my friends or family or whoever. You or anyone else can go out tomorrow or the next day or whenever. That cat is still out there living. We haven't killed it.
Well, go do that in an open area with someone that has a license that may want to harvest that cat. You know, this has nothing to do with management or good management practices. It has with you, what it seems to me is that you exercising your dogs and using your dogs and enjoying your sport to the detriment of mountain lions. I mean, I'm sorry, I can't go there, Tex.
Okay, but you just said to the detriment of mountain lions, but you want me to kill every mountain lion I tree.
I'm not saying that. But I don't think it's healthy for a mountain lion to run it for 10 miles, tree it multiple times during a season. I mean, I just don't think that's right.
Well, sir, it's a lot more unhealthy to run it those 10 miles, tree it, and kill it.
And I understand why we have to kill some mountain lions. I mean, wildlife management is about balance.
It is.
This has nothing to do with balance. It has to do with you using your dogs.
It does. Manage mountain lions without dogs.
Go to an area that's open and run a cat and, you know, have a client and maybe kill it or not. I don't care what you do as long as the season's open. But I don't think it's right to chase cats, tree them, and just let them go just for pursuit purposes. That's me. That's my opinion. I've stated it. So you and I could argue all day, but that's where I'm at.
Okay.
I got a question. Mr. President.
Yes, Mike.
Of the mountain lion areas we have, how many of them are closed before the March 31st deadline?
I believe last year there were 2 to 4. There weren't very many. But talking to the game and fish biologist, there are issues with access in some areas. There are depleted populations in some areas. In Hunt Area 1, for instance, the biologist up there said that he would like to see the harvest quotas lowered. He said it's time to do that. Even the head carnivore biologist suggested that. But they are scared to propose it for fear of pushback from ranchers and the outfitters.
You know what, though? I gotta tell you on that, Tex, I haven't seen an instance yet where the biologists or the wardens would hold back on a proposal that they felt was biologically sound for fear of what the public feedback would be. I mean, they might know they're gonna get their butt handed to them at a meeting, but they still go ahead and they issue the proposal that they feel is right. Now, biologically right. And you might not always agree with it. I don't always agree with it, you know, but I do think that I do have faith in our field people that they will do what they feel is biologically sound for that animal. I was hoping Dan Thompson would be here. I had some specific questions for him. Is there somebody in the department that could answer some questions on this issue? Okay, and would you stay close
Yes, sir.
to the podium too, Tex, because we're going to want to talk to you more. Brian, do you have data on how many seasons are closed this year? How many seasons close on average?
Certainly,
How
Mr.
many
President.
areas?
So it's actually been decreasing over time. So in 2014, there were 5 areas that closed due to reaching their limits. That number shrank to 4 in 2015. In 2016, it was 2. I don't have 2017 yet, but I can tell you that, like in Hunt Area 1, which you know, there's significant harvest in Hunt Area 1, that date that it closes has continued to move further and further to the right till to a point this year where it closed on January, I believe it was January 6th, which is the latest that Hunt Area 1 has closed since the early 2000s, and we've significantly changed mountain lion management since then.
So Brian, there was 2 areas last year that were closed before the March 31st deadline?
That's correct.
And
So
that was
basically, you've got a pursuit season, don't you?
How many areas are there?
I mean, how many areas are there?
I'll have you the answer before we're done with this discussion. Doug's going to look that up for me. I think there's 32, because I'm thinking Hunt Area 32 in the Black Hills is the highest number we have.
So there's 30 areas that run from September 1 to March 31 that stay open, basically.
Yes, that's correct.
So kind of, don't you already have a pursuit season?
There, Mr. President, Commissioner Schmidt, the other thing I would add is we do have a couple areas, South Bighorns, for example, where there's a year-round season.
Oh, okay.
So they don't ever close. The other thing, Mr. President, I guess I would just offer for the commission to consider the next 3-year cycle. You know, we've in the past we've changed to a plan where we manage mountain lions on and bring the regulation up every 3 years, and that's for biological reasons. When we make decisions on how to manage mountain lions, how to set quotas, biological parameters around seasons, we do that with trend data over 3-year time periods. And so it's been our practice to review and bring to the commission proposals every 3 years. Now, there have been some occasions where we've gone outside of that, but when we've gone outside of that, it's been primarily due to some kind of a biological concern where we need to change management sooner than 3 years. the next time that we are planning to bring a new mountain lion Chapter 42 season to the commission is in July of 2020.
19 or 20? Seems like 19 would be the year.
I believe it's 20, so that would mean we would have done it last year.
Didn't we do it in July?
No, we opened the special, we opened it special last year for Area 1. It was actually the year before that that we did the last lion season. So we should be in the second of the 3 years right now. Yeah, I'm thinking it is 19.
Okay, we can double check that for you. It's either 19 or 20, but I'll have Doug confirm that for me too.
He's like your personal Google, isn't he? Siri. Okay. 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 Thank you. So,
Can I say something?
yeah,
right
go
quick?
ahead.
Commissioner Schmidt pointed out that there's 30-something areas open. But if you look at the harvest data, I'm pretty familiar with what's going on up there in Hunt Area 1. These areas are remaining open because there's not cats there to hunt. Hunt Area 1, for instance, the average age of harvested cats has dropped pretty significantly over the last 5 to 8 years. I think the most recent data I saw, the average age of a cat was sub-adult, something like 2 or 2.5 years old. And we were getting into more and more females. And when you start getting a younger harvest and you start getting a more female harvest, that means that you've got into that population extremely hard. So these areas are remaining open for a reason. There's no cats.
One of the other things
Yes, sir.
that I think should be a consideration, text, Area 1 being the one area we know is closed this year. There might be another area that's closed, but Area 1 historically is always the first area to close, and that's because, you know, well, several reasons. It's got the most cats, probably the highest density of cats of anywhere in the state. It's a lot of federal land in there, access. It's one of the most eroded forests in the lower 48. It's close to some fairly populated communities in South Dakota. It's easily accessible by interstate, but the problem is it's also loaded with deer and elk. And you know, we start hammering that country with elk and deer hunters, and then bring in the lion hunters, and there comes a time after a few months, and it's the dead of winter, when maybe that area just needs a little bit of a rest. Those wintering animals need a little bit of rest, and I'll be honest, I'm not real keen on turning houndsmen out there during a pursuit season after that area's been hit that hard by elk hunters and deer hunters and turkey hunters and lion hunters. Maybe that's one area we should let it rest a little bit, Tex.
Well,
No?
that I've heard that argument. 2 areas right next to it remain open.
Mm-hmm.
The commission did set the season to go all the way until the end of March. There's deer and elk in every other hunt area around the state. And if we are concerned about those herds of deer and elk in Area 1, it only makes sense that we would want to keep the predators at bay.
Can you think of another area of the state where we have that kind of hunter density for the 3 months prior?
No, I don't know, because I stay pretty close to home. I'm not even much of a mountain lion hunter. I tend to concentrate on bobcats there in the Rochelle Hills, but we would like to see some progress on this front in some way, but we've got a lot of different reasons, but the main reason that most houndsmen are hearing from game department personnel around the state is it would mean more work for the game wardens.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Tex, so if there's no lions in these other areas, and you have a pursuit season for, and we'll use Area 1 as an example, aren't you kind of creating a huge problem for yourself and every other guy with a pack of lion hounds, because everybody's going to be in it?
If they're spread out over the state, they'll be further dispersed than what they are. And what we're wanting is to go after some better management practices like female subquotas, or in some of these areas that have not hit their harvest limit in several years, it's probably time that we look at lowering those limits. Let's lower that mortality limit and protect this trophy game population.
Mr. President, I mean, Tex, I'm okay with that. But pursuing these lions doesn't do that. I mean, if we need to lower the limit on in Laramie Peak, our biologist will come tell us that, and we'll lower the limit. But, continuing to chase lions in the hills doesn't accomplish that. There's no connection. It just allows you to use your dogs more
It does
often.
allow us to use our dogs because, and these dogs cost a lot of money, and I realize that's not your problem.
Choice.
Right, it is. But it's these dogs that manage those lions for the state.
And we already killed 24 lions out of the Black Hills, which our biologist said was what would be necessary to control that population. You're saying we shouldn't have killed that many.
Your biologists also have said that it's time to lower those, but they're scared to approach that subject because of the pushback they'll get. And I've actually got it on recording.
Well, bring us the recording. We'll bring that person in and have him tell us the truth, him or her.
Okay.
I mean, I don't, whatever. Bring me the recording. But that's a different issue than being able to pursue these lions just for the heck of it to train your hounds. That has nothing to do with management. And it has everything to do with you training your dogs.
It's got a lot to do with training our dogs, but it allows us time. It allows us to be able to justify having those dogs, because there's not a houndsman in this state that I've spoken with that would not like to see a female subquota in some of these different areas. But when you implement that, then you're talking about cutting the season down even further. And a lot of guys couldn't justify owning dogs if that female subquota was met in a very short amount of time.
That's your choice, though, Tex. I'm sorry.
Well, it is.
I mean, I like to fly fish, and if I catch too many fish out of my favorite fly fishing place, there may not be enough fish there. And I bought a $500 sage rod or whatever. Those are my choices. But that has nothing to do with management of cats.
I'm sorry you see it that way, Commissioner.
Okay.
Mr. President, may I?
Yes, go
That was
ahead.
a bad defense on saying that it's more work for the wardens. They have lives too. So what do you do, just keep piling work on these guys?
No, we would like to see, we have tried to get a new license type. We would like to see that money earmarked for this type of pursuit. But if we need more game wardens, let's get more game wardens, but let's do not deny opportunities for sportsmen in this state because the game warden is overworked. Let's get more game wardens.
That's not the answer. That's not the answer for additional cat hunting. That's not the answer. Get more game wardens? We're in a budget cut right now, not a budget increase. And it's difficult for us to add a warden, let alone add more responsibility to the existing wardens that we have. They do have a life too.
Right, they do.
And they deserve, if you paid them by the hour, they'd probably be making $2 an hour.
I'm a rancher, so I can relate.
I might differ from some of my fellow commissioners a little bit in that I'm not wholeheartedly against pursuit seasons. Other states have pursuit seasons. I think it's a viable option. But I cannot support it in this instance where we have one area that's closed, an area that I think needs to be left alone after that harvest limit is reached. So to open up the lion regulation again, I can't support it personally. How does the rest of the commission feel?
I mean, generally, I don't see an issue with the pursuit season either. I mean, and I know where I live, the line hunters over there chase them all season long. Seldom do they take one, but they're out every weekend chasing lions. The lions are there. They tree them. Very seldom they take one. The issue I see is I see Area 1 is the problem. We just split that area because of the congestion there with resident hunters and non-resident hunters. And now if we open up a pursuit season for Area 1, I just see everybody being in Area 1 until the end of March.
The season in Area 1
Access is unbelievable in Area 1.
Right. And the season lasted longer this year, or this season, than it ever has.
Right.
And we got the congestion issue taken care of. And every resident houndsman that I've spoke with is absolutely loving it, because they were able to go up there and actually spend time running, chasing, treeing, taking pictures, and not having to worry about the season closing.
Who's killing all the lions up there?
Well, there were 20 taken by residents this year.
It almost appears to me, Tex, that you guys can control this.
We can. And we have mentioned that and have been told that that's not good management either. Because, yeah, we can start a campaign and we can leave it open, and then we're getting right back into the issues that we're all talking about. And we would like to see a pursuit season so that we will be guaranteed to have the time to go all the way to the end of season and still go after a female sub-quota in some areas where it may be needed, or lower quotas or harvest limits in some areas where that may be needed. That's what it's about.
Tex, if I'm not mistaken, in Newcastle 3 years ago, didn't you guys approach the commission? That was my first commission meeting. I believe you guys approached the commission about bobcats in particular, not lions. Is that right? Chasing bobcat?
No, I don't. I don't.
Maybe I'm mistaken.
I don't believe so, Commissioner.
To me, like the Wyoming houndsman came before us and
Can you speak into your mic?
They want you to turn on your
mic is off.
microphone.
There was there's been some concerns in the past over like bobcat populations, but nobody knows anything along those lines. And I know that the Wyoming Federation of Houndsmen has made no proposals regarding bobcats.
Is there something in Newcastle like that, though? I mean, not that it's...
A few of us went over. One of the members was talking about lactating females, and I believe it was you. You had asked him about that because some people would like to see a little bit more stringent regulation on the harvest of lactating females, because they're... I don't remember exactly what it was about, but I vaguely recall what you're talking about. Yes, sir.
Mr. Oh, no. Okay. No, I really don't have a problem with the pursuit either. To me, that's all the way everybody's always hunted lions. Never really thought about it. But with all of Keith's concerns, I'm a little concerned with that much havoc in that area up there, too. And the stress on all wildlife when it goes on that long. But the whole pursuit thing really doesn't bother me.
Well, I guess I'll be. My problem is not the pursuit either. It's just, it's hard for me to look at a pursuit season when we have, in that area, when we have multiple areas that are still open. People who want to take those dogs and go to those other areas and do the same thing right now. So you're basically, if I understand you correctly, you're talking about one specific area.
No.
And I wouldn't want to make a regulation just for one area. There's multiple areas that are still open right now, and you can do your pursuit right now.
But if we went after the management changes next year in 2019, when the department goes around the state to their public information gathering meetings, if this pursuit season was in place, I can promise you that you're going to hear from guys up in the Bighorns, down in the Snowies, the Winds, just pretty much all over the state. They're going to be asking for either lower harvest limits or female subquotas.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. If that's what the proposal is, and that's what the public wants, then we'll listen to it.
And
You're talking about your proposal, and your proposal is pursuit season in Area 1.
and that's so that we don't lose time. Okay.
You know, that's nice, that takes place now, there's houndsmen that come from Sundance over to the Bighorns. So, it's open over there, it's closed over here. So I guess, I don't know, I don't understand why the pursuit season has to.
People would like to be able to hunt in their home areas. I mean, like the whole deal with the legislation that we got passed for Hunt Area 1 was to help stifle the congestion. And when a hunt area closes, houndsmen move elsewhere. And we would like to keep that pressure in the different hunt areas lower. And if we've got a pursuit season, then, you know, this area may hit its harvest limits, but those guys will still stay there and they'll run. They won't go over here, and there won't be twice as many houndsmen over here in the Bighorns. You'll have the guys in the Black Hills and the guys in the Bighorns, and, you know, there'll be some people going and hunting with their buddies, but most people will stay in their home areas. And it'll just decrease the congestion in those areas.
I think, Mr. President, about ready to go home, but I haven't commented, but I'm with, I don't always agree with Mr. Crank, but there's other areas that are open. If you want to pursue them, go to those areas that are open, and I don't buy the thing that there's no lions in those areas. You just don't have the roads and the access like you do in the Black Hills, so I don't see this going anywhere. I think we've got seasons. If you guys want to go chase lions, and go where it's open and chase your lions, and I'm not for any kind of pursuit season. That's where my vote is.
So it looks like the consensus is that the lion regulation will not be opened this year. Tex, I thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you. Does any other member of the public wish to address the commission? If not, I guess that we will go ahead and adjourn until, what time do we start tomorrow? Okay, we will start up again tomorrow at 8 o'clock, so hopefully we'll see you then. Thank you.